train, we can get an idea of how many days are remaining. We have 31 days remaining. And then we also see the actual release packages that will be delivered on that release train. We have one here, and we can see the dates when it is scheduled to be in deployment. So there's a lot of data that we can gather right from this single view of the timeline, looking at our release trains. Drilling into the states or environments that we will be going through in order to get to production. This is configurable. It could just be starting with the environments that require process rigor, meaning it may be from just an operations perspective, or as you can see in our case, it could start all the way from development. This is configurable based upon release type, based upon application, and obviously upon a customer's requirements. This particular release package is currently sitting in dev. It has been deployed to dev. It's been complete, and we're awaiting now to move on to the QA segment or the QA environment. In addition to the deployment path, we can also see the artifacts that will be delivered. This is the version of the artifacts from deployment automation that will be deployed into each environment. We can see all of the tasks that will be required. This is where we will ensure that all of the runbook tasks will be completed, because the release control application will be handling each one of these steps and will execute them in the appropriately selected environments. And we can also see the items that have preempted us in order to create this new release. So this is the reason why we are making changes to the application. And these reach back to whatever source they are in. In this case, they are coming from Octane. However, they could have been tracked in issue and defect tracking workflow in SBM. It could have come from Jira. It could have come from ServiceNow. It could come from a multitude of different applications. So for our first scenario today, we are going to take this release package and we're going to indicate that we are complete with testing in the dev environment and we're ready to move on to QA. So the process, that deployment path is enforced for us and automatically routes us to that QA environment. Since this environment requires an approval, one has been generated for us, and by going to the Approvals tab, we can see that it is now available. In addition to it being available here, we're going to see it in a couple of other places. We will be able to see it through the main release control user interface, but we can also interact with it via our email. And when we talk about approvals, we only see these transitions if they have the permission to do so. For our scenario here, we are going to take a look at doing that approval by email. So an email has come into the inbox of this user, and you'll see in the body of the email there are a couple of options available. So they could just click a button in the email to indicate whether they approve or reject. And you can also see that the message also supports an email reply. So I can simply just reply if I happen to be, say, on my mobile device. I could just reply to that email indicating one of the keywords. So I would obviously have to know what those keywords are. But once I indicate an appropriate keyword, the approval will be transitioned automatically. Incidentally, if we happen to be working on a mobile device, there is a mobile app as well. So that would be another method in which you could perform your approval. So moving back to our item, it should be updated now in our system to indicate that we have received that approval. And it will take just a moment for that to occur. You can see we have just refreshed our screen and the approval has been automatically captured for us now. and our release package has updated to the next status to start deployment. All of the tracking has been captured, by the way, on the ticket of who approved that and when they approved that. So our audit history is kept intact, even though we interacted with the details of the record via an email. And we can see that down here with a date, time, and user stamp. Taking our release package, we will now start deployment. We are going to validate all of those runbook tasks and ensure that their completeness. And once that has completed, the deployment will go ahead and begin. The deployment is going to start with a task for deploying the application via deployment automation.